Hi Sergei, thank you for being with us today at PetrolPlaza. So your story is actually fascinating. So maybe you can give us a little summary of how you went from C-store operator to developing a software and technology company.
By trade, I'm a software engineer, and when I came to this country exactly 30 years ago, um, I didn't expect that someone will give me a job like that, and I went to work at the gas station um, in New Jersey for full service. It was a full service, and this is how I started. And then um, uh, I started to work in convenience store as a cashier, and then manager, and then supervisor, and then I became the partner. And basically, I thought it's temporary thing. But more I get into the retail and convenience, more excited I get because it's very easy and fast to see if you're doing things right or wrong. You see all the the benefits if you're doing things right, and otherwise if you're doing things wrong, you can see it as well. And that dynamic feedback gave me satisfaction and lots of interest in this industry. So, and I decided to stay. And but what would be my competitive advantage, right? I just came to this country. I don't speak English, not much. I don't know nothing about the way to do business and so on. And so, how would I compete? How would I survive in this environment where everybody knows everything and at least they know language and the culture, and I didn't. And I thought the answer is efficiency and productivity. So I kept my overhead as minimal as possible, and I tried to automate things as much as possible to keep my overhead low. And I felt like I need to make right decisions. I need accurate data on timely basis. So that was the vision and the basics for us moving forward. So I had about 18 stations in 1998, 7 years after I came to the States. And to make decisions, I had to be on the phone 24/7. I drove 80,000 miles a year between my sites. And you do it at nighttime because daytime you should work, right? If you will travel daytime, then what's the point of travel, right? And I start to feel like I'm getting underwater because it started to become very complex to acquire data and make it usable between all these different sites and different environments. So the only natural was to look on the market and see is there anything that can, any kind of software that would automate the process. And we couldn't find anything that really we needed, like based on the internet, available on demand. I didn't want to create IT department inside of my company. Like I said, I wanted to have low overhead. And we couldn't find any solution like that. And at the same time, I had friends back in a country where I grew up, and they were eager to do something interesting. So we talked, and the product of it, we went into production 12 months after our initial conversation with the SaaS product, and we called it PetroSoft. So, and ever since, I think the only reason I'm able to have multiple businesses, multiple enterprises, and at the same time continue to be successful is because I have PetroSoft. That's allowed me to be efficient and productive and accurate with my decisions.
Obviously, as a C-store and as PetroSoft, you work with a lot of data. What is the role of data today for C-stores and gas stations?
See, again, due to the nature of our business, where you have a relatively small retail outlet distributed across sometimes bigger geographical areas, The challenge is to collect that data, but what's most important, not just data, but also timing. Because in our business, specifically in petroleum downstream, where we sell fuel is the commodity, the time time is an essence to take to make informative decisions, not decisions from your emotions or whatever from, but based on the data. So data is a driving factor. The availability of accurate and timely data, I think, is the major factor for the convenience store operator success.
We've mentioned data as a success factor for today's industry. What are the key success factors do you see for retailers?
I think the major factors are the labor availability and cost. We all know that there is a labor shortage right now. Because of the labor shortage, the cost of employees went up significantly. So the business automation of standard operating procedures, decreasing skill requirements, decreasing dependencies on unique skills. For example, certain employees' knowledge how to order stuff from your wholesaler would help automation, and again, reducing the skill requirements is one of the major factors right now to stay in business, because it reduces onboarding time, it reduces training, and also it reduces the outcome of errors of the employees. So that one, and I think supply chain automation and streamlining is the second biggest factor today, because customers now expect more or less personalized service, personalized store inventory, so people from the neighborhood can find what they're looking for. And to do all this, you need automation and increase in productivity. So to stay competitive, the recipe is the same for success. Reduce your operating expenses, and and increase the sales and profitability through automation and integration with other industry players.
So we've talked about the origins of your company. We've mentioned a few of the key factors that retailers have today to have a successful business. Maybe you can tell us now about the future of Petrosoft. What's the end goal of Petrosoft for you? What kind of business do you want it to be?
Petrosoft mission is to level playground for all players, for small medium business, for small business operators, and for big enterprises, through innovation and most modern enterprise level technology. Basically, our concept is like a timeshare, to give enterprise type of system in the hands of any operator who wants to use it. Make it affordable for anyone.
That was fascinating to hear. But what you have in mind for Petrosoft. Maybe you can tell us now of how's your own C-store business developed over the years?
It's interesting. One reason I'm successful is that I kept the productivity high and expenses low. Another reason when I started is that whenever I started with the retail, I personalized the inventory based on my 30 years ago beliefs and skills, but I tried to personalize the store and align it with the demographic of the surrounding neighborhoods. And it's actually worked pretty well, and we were experiencing increases in store sales in double digits a year and triple digits in fuel. But over the years, as I had more stores, I lost that competitive advantage because I was not able uh, to do the same type of work with multiple locations. When managers have the freedom to choose their inventory, sometimes they do great things, sometimes they do great mistakes as well. So to eliminate mistakes, eventually you go in the same way every other small medium business goes. You take less and less dependencies on manager skills, and to do that you start to unify your inventory, and customer becomes just a gray figure that nobody knows what that persona is. And then you're losing your advantage. How to gain that advantage back? Through automating, and through automating your business, through automation of supply chain. That's what can get you back and give you that advantages that I had in the beginning.
A key part of today's industry, both for retailers as well as for suppliers, be it big suppliers, medium-sized or small, are partnerships. As services continue to expand and it becomes more complex, you can't do everything right. So maybe you can discuss a little bit some of the partnerships that PetroSoft has signed and what role do they play in your business?
No one is perfect, and no one can do everything specifically, and no one can do everything perfectly. So our vision is the goal to create, again, the platform for this industry and for our community that will allow operators to work with different vendors, different services based on data analysis and data exchanges. So that's our end goal. To do that, we constantly we're looking at industry as the partnerships, and we constantly working on creating new partnerships or creating new meanings for existing partnerships. And in the past year, we worked a lot with vendors who are this way or another involved in data processing, either generation of data, that would be POS companies, transportation of data, that would be the providers of firewalls like Mako, Acumera, and such. And actually end users of the data, manufacturers like tobacco companies, soft drink companies, and so on. So we did lots of work with Bullock customers in Canada, with Mako, Acumera. We got certified with Verifone on their loyalty solution. We are very active members of Connexus organization, and that partnership we value a lot. We value a lot because we think that Connexus, non-profits like Connexus and IFSF, OMG, should take leading role in deployment of open standards, open data protocols, or common industry data protocols, because we think it's the keystone in future, automation of end-to-end processes.
Sergei, your position is quite unique because you're both a C-store owner that's been in the business for many years, and you have your own technology company that's probably growing over your own best expectations. So I'm very interested to see your outlook on the future of mobility and convenience.
So of course, many things. Hopefully, we will get back to normal after this pandemic. However, I think what will be hard to put back into the box is that freedom that we all enjoyed, being able to work virtually from any space, be able to choose where you want to be, where you want to work, right? And I think that's is really great experience that we had, and it will stay. So remote, working remote, making decisions remote from basically anywhere in the world, that will be standard in the industry. And that makes requirements to data interchange integration very important. And also, that makes cloud systems, cloud-based systems, uh, number one. I would think that can provide that ability for your people to work anywhere in the world. Doesn't matter what their titles is. Not only that, I think also what it allows to do, I think eventually data platforms like PetroSoft will allow and create the market for data processing and data servicing. That means that companies will be able to outsource to experts decision-making process, for example, as far as inventory handling. Or we just talk about aligning your inventory with the demographic in your neighborhood. You may not necessarily make the right, even if you have all the data in the world, you're not data processing analyst or whatever the convenience store the operators, they're not basically data analysts. So you have all the data, you need somebody who will make the right decision, create right advice for your suggestions, and that will create a market of independent data analytics. Just an example. Another thing is, if you have data platform where all the data in and outs are streamlined, well, it makes it easy to connect it to artificial intelligence, for example, right? Because our business is uniqueness of our business is that every convenience store processes between 1,500 to 2,000 average, 1,500 to 2,000 transactions a day. There's lots of information going back and forth. We have 6,000 SKUs in average convenience store. Who will make right decisions? I don't think humans will be able to make unique decisions like that. And so the free data flow will create completely new market for data processing and services.